The following program may contain subject matter and language suitable for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
And welcome back to the Meltdown. My name is Norm.
My name is, what's my name?
Norm.
My name's not Norm.
Oh. And today we're talking about aging. Because we're all getting older. What did I say last show? I said from the minute you're born, you start dying, and Jeff was like, oh.
I know, that was a downer.
Depressing is
We were having a great show, and then
I know, and I ruined it. But, you know, here's the thing about aging, right? It's a part of life, and it, you know, when you get old, I think when we're kids, you know, when we're really young, we want to be older so badly. I always did. I couldn't wait till the time I could do stuff on my own, make my own decisions, whatever. And then the older you get, you wish you were a kid again, where you didn't have to make decisions and choices. Then you didn't have to pay rent or mortgage, and you didn't have to pay insurance, and you could just live, and people would feed you and clothe you, and you could sleep well at night because you had no stress in your life. But getting older is just a fact that happens to all of us. Yeah, and so today's show is about aging, and we're going to be looking at how to age positively. How can you do that so that it's not such a horrible experience? And then we're going to have some fun in our stupidness. Today we're going to do something we've never done before. We are going to hurl some age insults. It's going to be hilarious, and some of these are really funny. So let's start off the way we always do, because it never gets old, with some Meltdown fun facts. All right, so here we go. 15 tips for positive aging.
Okay.
And let me forward with this. Society often views getting older with trepidation. However, our later years frequently provide new opportunities for growth and happiness. In light of this, here are 15 suggestions to live life to the fullest as we age. So there you go. This is the positive part of the show. And pay attention to this, because you too, regardless of who you are getting older every second. First off, plan ahead. Maybe the most important trip you'll ever get is to plan ahead. How will you ensure you have a sufficient income in retirement? Where are you going to live? Would you like to downsize, or is there somewhere you hoped to retire to? Don't leave this all to chance. Think it through in advance. That almost rhymed. Or maybe it did rhyme. Here's another one. Take up a hobby. This can be a great way to meet people as well as to try something new. You could take up something active like sports or dancing, or something a little more sedate like painting or fishing. There are lots of activities out there to choose from. You're only restricted by your imagination. Here's another one. Maintain health. As we get older, it is more and more important to be mindful of your health. This doesn't mean worrying about it constantly. Rather, do what you can to head potential problems off of the past. The healthier you are, the more you're going to get out of life. And here's another step to positively aging. Okay. Volunteer. Whether it's your local community group, sports club, or charity, these are some great organizations out there that thrive on a staff of older volunteers who have the life experience, time, and patience to contribute. They are always looking for people to lend a hand, and it can be a hugely rewarding experience. And here's one that one of us does. Exercise. I mean, I get some, but I don't get nearly as much as you do, I don't think. What do you do? Do you You one of these go to the gym people, or
I'm not a gym person, but I do definitely go on walks, and I have a fairly physical job at the library.
You're always moving, right?
Yeah, you're always moving. There's a bit of heavy lifting. It's certainly not the most physically demanding job in the world, but it is physically demanding.
Exercise. This is the next one. Exercise. Stay physically active. At the very least, aim for a brisk walk for 30 minutes every day, but don't be afraid to be ambitious. Take up an exercise class or even join a gym. Some people are running marathons into their 80s, and while that's not for everyone, it shows that age is no barrier, which is true. Here's something, and I think we touched on this before in terms of your mind, but learn something new. None of us ever really stop learning, and later life can be a great time to focus on something that really interests you. There are lots of lifelong learning groups around the country with people learning new languages or new skills and having a great time doing it. And Jeff, here's one. I have no doubt that we're not. I have no doubt that we're not going to be doing this. So I have. What I'm trying to set is a double negative. So I'm positive we will continue doing this. Never stop exploring. Later life can be a terrific opportunity to take that trip you've always dreamt about. There are travel and adventure companies that specialize in organizing holidays that cater to older customers and are well worth checking out. Here's another possible thing you can do to age positively is adopt a pet. Animals can be great company and a great encouragement to take exercise. There are always cats, dogs, and other animals in shelters looking for their forever home, and you might be the person to provide it. Here's another one. Take time for friends and family. We all have such busy lives. It can be difficult to keep in touch and to make time for the people who are important to us. Make time for the people you care about and reconnect with old friends. And I think people do that naturally, right? As they get older and stuff, they start to reminisce about people in their past, and they start, I should give so-and-so a call. I haven't talked to him in years. What was his phone number now? I don't have it on my phone. I don't have phone books anymore because they don't exist. Never mind, I'm not going to bother. Here's another thing you can do to age positively. Keep working. Or for many Canadians, because you can't afford to retire, keep working. Many people can't wait to retire, just as there are others who might like to keep working, just maybe not at the same pace. Lots of people enjoy working and keep going into their 70s, maybe working part-time in a less demanding role. Some may even start new businesses. And here is one that we talked about, Jeff, last show. Get online. Ask a friend or family member to help or sign up to an Age Action Getting Started course. The first step is the hardest, and after that, there's a whole world to explore. And you said you knew a couple of people who someone actually offered to help coach them about getting online, and it just didn't work out. Yeah. And I think a lot of that was probably in their own minds, right? They just maybe didn't want to do it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Jeff, here's something that, even though we're both in relationships, dating. Why should romance be left to young people? We're living longer, more active lives, and it can be even better with a special person to share it with. A number of agencies on and offline offer services here, or you can try the tried and trusted way of asking out someone you like. So there you go. I agree. Romance, there should be no age limit for romance. Yep. Now, when it comes to sex, that's a completely different thing. So you might want to, the older you get, like you can't tell a 100-year-old person, I mean, I suppose you can, but I mean, the romance.
A for effort.
A for effort. There you go. Well, I thought about it
Give
today.
it a try.
Yeah. Here's another thing you can do to age positively. Know your rights. Make sure you know everything to which you're entitled. There are guides with lots of useful information about accessing pensions, healthcare, and dealing with elder abuse, as well as lots of useful phone numbers. And that's probably something that we don't think about, right? As we get older, what do we qualify for? What is the benefit of being this age? What kind of things could happen to someone my age? What should I be aware of, right? Stay on top of it. And especially when it comes to these spammers and scammers. Because last season we found and discovered that most of the people involved in these things that lost a lot of money were elderly people, people who weren't, up to par on how things work. So stay informed. Here's another thing. Have a can-do attitude. Any successful athlete or business person will tell you about the importance of thinking positively, and it's no different with aging. Don't let yourself be held back. Don't let anyone tell you that you're too old for something. Unless it's sex.
No, still give it a try.
Still give it a try. Think about it at least. Then you can say, well, I thought about it. So that's got to count for something.
You never know, something unexpected might happen. Whoa.
Something that used to be very expected is now unexpected.
Something that would happen too often, like when I'm out walking.
Or in school, getting up to borrow someone's stapler. Let's not talk about that experience. I could borrow staplers all day now. It wouldn't be an issue. And our last step in aging positively, rent out a room. If you have spare room in the house, why not think of renting it out? Maybe a student needs digs. Maybe you and a friend could move in together and share costs while keeping each other company. You could check out groups such as Airbnb and earn a little extra to add to the savings. And those are some good positive tips on positive aging, all right? So to reverse that, now that we've helped you, now we're going to insult you. But before we insult you, let's go to Lou Saracino and a Meltdown Minute with Lou.
Myself laugh. Boy, if you guys were here 10 seconds earlier, you would have laughed. Aging. That's what Norm and Jeff are talking about today, folks, and it happens to all of us, right? There's no getting around it. I find it really weird because I turned 51 last year, which means I'll be 52. This year did the math quickly in my head. I'm a genius. My point is that your body changes really quick, folks, all right? So for the younger audience out there, enjoy your youth while you have it, or I will come around and suck it out of your soul. Okay, pal? Because if you're not using it, I will. My point is I make a noise when I get out of a chair now. I do this. Ah! What the? So to lift a foot, that's too much work. That's throwing me right off, right? See this watch, folks? This is a watch that runs on what's called kinetic energy, which means that all I have to do in a given day to wind this watch, that's not a word, to wind this watch is this. Can you see? Just that. This watch dies a dozen times a day, which means that my level of lazy is such that this, too much work. It's way too much work. And a friend suggested, you should do is put it on the same arm that you masturbate with. And then my concern is that it'll be too vigorous, and I'll go back in time, and then my junk will show up on a bar in the Wild West, and nobody wants that.
Thank you very much, Lou. And now for some Meltdown stupidness. So we're going to break this down into two parts, okay? First, we're going to share with you some classic one-liners about aging, and then we're gonna throw some insults about aging, and I'm gonna get Jeff to help me. Here we go. Here are some classic one-liners about aging. There is absolutely nothing to be said in favor of growing old. There ought to be legislation against it. And that's from Patrick Moore. Here's another one. You know you're getting old when you can pinch an inch on your forehead. That's
fat.
That's from John Mendoza. You know you're getting old when everything hurts, and what doesn't hurt doesn't work. That's from High Gardner. Here's one. I don't plan to grow old gracefully. I plan to have facelifts until my ears meet. And that's from Rita Rudner, great comedian. Mm-hmm. Here's another one. We could certainly slow the aging process down if it had to work its way through Congress. And that, of course, is from Will Rogers. That kind of quote, eh? Here's another one. The only reason I would take up jogging is so that I could hear heavy breathing again. And that's from Irma Bombeck. Here's an interesting one. An archaeologist is the best husband a woman can have. The older she gets, the more interested he is in her. And that's from Agatha Christie. Interesting, eh? Here's one. Old age is when you resent the swimsuit issue of Sports Illustrated because there are fewer articles to read. And that comes to us from George Burns. And here we are. I've learned that life is like a roll of toilet paper. The closer it gets to the end, the faster it goes. And that comes from the late, great Andy Rooney. Here's one. I'm at an age when my back goes out more than I do. And that's from Phyllis Diller. There is only one cure for gray hair. It was invented by a Frenchman. It is called the guillotine. That's P.G. Wodehouse. Here we go. My grandmother was a very tough woman. She buried 3 husbands and 2 of them were just napping. That's another one from Rita Rudner. Here's this one's from Rodney Dangerfield. No. So I almost want to read it like Rodney Dangerfield. I'm at the age where food has taken the place of sex in my life. In fact, I've just had a mirror put over my kitchen table.
Oh, Rodney Dangerfield. No regard.
No regard. No regard. No respect.
Yeah.
Here's one.
Was a Simpsons episode.
That's right. Here's another one from George Burns. He's so old that when he orders a 3-minute egg, they ask for the money up front. And our last one from one of my favorite people, Woody Allen. It's not that I'm afraid to die. I just don't want to be there when it happens. Okay, so Jeff, here's how you're going to help me. We're now going to throw out some "you're so old that" insults. We're going to hurl them at you.
All right.
And just remember, you say to yourself, well, that doesn't apply to me. Listen, again, you're already older than you were when you started watching this episode. I know, because it's gone on for far too long. I understand that. But that's just the way it is. So, Jeff, I'm going to get you.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to point to you, and you're going to say, "You're so old that," and then I'm going to finish the line.
Okay.
You ready? Back and forth. This should be entertaining for me.
All right. You're so old that...
Your first car was a covered wagon.
You're so old that...
George Washington cut down your Christmas tree.
You're so old that...
You have hieroglyphics on your driver's license.
You're so old that...
The first airport was the Wright brothers.
You're so old that...
The key on Ben Franklin's kite was to your apartment.
You are so old that...
Your family tree starts with you.
You're so old that...
You walked into an antique store and they kept you.
You are so old that...
When you were young, rainbows were black and white.
You are so old that...
Your watch was a sundial.
You're so old that...
You have an autographed Bible.
You are so old that...
When you were born, the Dead Sea was just getting sick.
You are so old that...
Your social security number is 1.
You are so old that...
You knew Burger King when he was just a prince.
You are so old that...
The movie Jurassic Park brought back memories.
You are so old that...
You have a picture of Moses in your yearbook.
You are so old that...
I asked to see your birth certificate and you handed me a rock.
You are so old that...
Your blood type was discontinued.
You are so old that...
When your wife says, "Let's go upstairs and make love," and you answer, "Honey, I can't do both."
You are so old that...
The porn you bring home is Debbie does dialysis.
You are so old that...
Getting a little action means you don't need to take any fiber today.
You're so old that...
Getting lucky means you find your car at the grocery store. And here's our last one, Jeff, so really get it out there.
You are so old that...
An all-nighter means not getting up to pee. I hope that those made you laugh at least a little bit. I thought they're pretty funny.
Oh yes.
Yeah. There is a shit ton of these online, by the way. The old ones, and in fact, there was one website, and I believe it was one of our sources that we'll list in the credits, where they had insults for every age group. So they had insults for toddlers, insults for young children, for teens, adults, and older people. So there you go. All right, so that is all we've got on aging. So we've looked at some facts. How can you age positively? And we've also insulted you if you're old. And don't take those personally. Come on, get a sense of humor. What's wrong with you? For God's sake. Next week, we're coming back, and we'll all be older.
All right.
Myself, Jeff, and all of you. Mm-hmm. And we're going to be taking a look at habits. Okay. So habits, they can be good, they can be bad, right? I mean, we can all list a bunch of bad habits. We could all list a bunch of good habits, but we're going to take a more in-depth look at habits, and we should have a good time doing that. Please come back next week and join us as we discuss habits. All right, so until then, my name is Norm.
And my name is Jeff.
This has been The Meltdown. We'll see you later.